Help keep Kinks and Beats Daily ad-free and receive bonus content early with a contribution of 20 cents per episode. Visit herohabit.com/shop for more information. Welcome to Kinks and Beats Daily. I am your host, Tony Fry. Thank you for downloading. Today we are on episode 111. And we are talking about a Paul McCartney song called Souvenir, which was released May 5th, 1997 on his album Flaming Pie. This is a good album, folks. And it sold well and was a big hit for Paul. It also features, this is a post-Beatles anthology release. So it has George Martin working on some tracks with him for the first time in several years. And it also has Jeff Lynne, who we know produced the two Beatle reunion tracks, Free as a Bird and Real Love. And if you read the liner notes to this album, Paul is definitely influenced, having gone through, the archives of the Beatles' history and listening to the records and listening to the recording sessions and kind of being reminded of their work ethic, their writing ethic, and how they recorded music. And he went into the studios for Flaming Pie with that in mind. And so you hear this album doesn't sound sloppy, but it's not overproduced. And it's well-constructed songs. There are some duds on it. It's not a perfect album. But the hits on this album, such as Souvenir, Beautiful Night, Young Boy, the hits are among Paul McCartney's best work and far outweigh the misses as far as this album is concerned. This song was written in Jamaica in January 1995 alongside the song we were singing and Little Willow, which also appear on this album. And Paul said that he had sort of a Wilson Pickett number in mind and hoped that an R&B singer would cover it. And you can tell in his delivery vocally and just the chord structures of this song that he definitely wanted this to be an old Wilson Pickett or Solomon Burke or someone of that vocal range and style. But because Paul McCartney is Paul McCartney, he can handle it on his own. He doesn't need to wait for Wilson Pickett to cover it for it to be a great R&B flavored song. Obviously he adds his pop elements to it. But there's definitely the flavor of an R&B song in here. The track is mostly just Paul and Jeff Lynne. With the exception of the horn section, those two guys are playing everything on it. Paul is on guitars, bass, drums, harpsichord, lead and background vocals, and Jeff Lynne is on acoustic guitars, background vocals, keyboards, and produced this particular track. Jeff Lynne did not produce the entire album. And there's different collaborations with different people. Like Steve Miller's on a couple tracks, Jeff Lynne's on some tracks, George Martin's on some tracks. Ringo pops in and plays drums on some stuff. So it's a collaborative effort in a lot of ways, but it is mostly Paul. And this run was recorded in February 1996 at the same sessions that produced the title track, Flaming Pie. So one cool thing, there's not a lot to talk about on this song. It's a simple, well-crafted R&B influenced song. But one cool thing about it is harmonically, the structure, you have 3 sections. And each section is in a different key, basically. And he's floating around the key of F, the key of G, and the key of C. And these are related. They're not very far apart from each other. C has no flats and sharps. F has 1 flat. G has 1 sharp. So they're very close together in tone. And C, F, and G are also related because they are the tonic, subdominant, and dominant in the key of C. All right, but we start in the key of F. And then that right there, we're already out of the key of F by the 3rd chord, but it's a beautiful hook. And then he switches to C minor. All right, and then he's led us through this transition of chords to a place where we can't really return. We can't go back to home. That's jarring. It doesn't fit well. It's not great. So what he does is he turns that D into a D7 and then just shifts us up to G. It goes back and forth there between G and C. And then because he's ending that phrase on a C chord, it's a natural progression back to F, the home key. And then we also, in that thing, and this is where the E7 comes from, we do have some chromatic movement. We start on an F chord, then a C chord that has an E in it, then an E7, which has a D in it, then an A minor, which has a C in it. So we do have some descending structure to that chord progression. And then he gets to the bridge, and he goes to C. So we're in F on that part, G on the... I don't know if you'd want to call it a chorus or the first bridge and second bridge. And then we get to, well, I could hold you too tight in the C. So this is what we've got. When you're fed up, shedding too many tears, and your memories seem like just so many souvenirs, I will come to you to ease the pain. Switch to G. If you want me, tell me now. If I could be of any help, tell me how. Let me love you like a friend. Everything is gonna turn right in the end. Back to F. When you cry like a poor little child, and you're feeling like you never could be reconciled, don't forget a word of what I'm saying. If you want me, back to G, tell me now. If I could be of any help, tell me how. Let me love you like a friend. Everything is gonna turn right in the end. Well, I could hold you too tight. Now we're in C. I could never let you go, but that wouldn't be right. So why don't you let me know? Let me know what you wanna do. Now we're back to F. So it's really sorry, I don't normally play that much of a song, but kind of needed to illustrate that he's switching from all these different keys, and every section has a different vibe and a different tonal home bass. And it's really cool for a song that, and the lyrics are simple, you know, which it should be. This song should not have super deep and complicated lyrics, you know, for the style he's going after, but they're solid lyrics. And his use of the harmony on this is really what sells me. And it's just a cool sounding recording. If you haven't heard this one because you haven't dug into Paul's late era solo albums, definitely give this one a try. There's a lot of good stuff on Flaming Pie, and I think Souvenir might be my second favorite song on the album. Beautiful Night being my first. That's just a masterpiece. But this is definitely ranks among my favorite Paul McCartney songs. Definitely of the last 25 years. It was sadly the last album he worked on with Linda. She passed away from cancer not long afterwards, and then his next album in 99 was Run Devil Run, which was just a loud rock and roll cover album. Great album, but that was his first album without Linda. So there's also some sadness in here because she is sick, and and getting weaker. And so there's that kind of looming over this if you're listening to it from a historical perspective. Anyway, that is Souvenir. I encourage you to listen to it. You can go to the Spotify playlist for Kinks and Beats Daily and listen to all the songs we've covered, and it is updated weekly ahead of the podcasts being released, so that you can get a feel for some of these songs you haven't listened to in a while, or maybe you've never heard before in your life, and dig a little deeper into these amazing catalogs that we're studying. And as always, swingbyherohabit.com, and from there you can find all sorts of information about this podcast that might be useful to you. All right. I will talk to you guys soon. I hope everyone's staying healthy. And if you are under quarantine or working from home, I hope that the episodes that we've got coming will give you some short-term entertainment while we're all trying to get through this epidemic going around. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you all for the support, the emails, the iTunes reviews, the financial contributions. It's all been wonderful. And I will thank each of you individually on a future podcast. All right. Take care.
This podcast is presented by the Hero Habit Podcast Network. Swing by HeroHabit.com today to comment on this episode and poke around our growing database of sports and pop culture news, reviews, and collectibles. HeroHabit.com. Collect your heroes.